All right, YouTube, welcome to the live stream. I'm kind of hot on this one. It's something that we've all been discussing for the last week and a half. We've been building up to this. I actually thought on television, maybe I'm making too big a deal out of this. They're just going to inspect pitchers randomly, just check for any kind of sticky substance that's against the rules. They're now just going to enforce it, but you know, it'll be noticed, but we'll just move on. Won't be a big deal. Won't really affect the game or a lot of intricacies of baseball that we like. However, we're what now, 36 hours into this, and I can already see that we might be causing more problems than Major League Baseball is trying to prevent by having the umpires check pitchers and other position players at random during the games for these illegal substances. So I have like 12 points here to make. I'm going to try and rattle through these quickly. There's a lot to unpack. And as I'm finding out, the big deal I thought this would be is actually turning into a big deal. And I think we've only seen the tip of the iceberg in controversy, in, you know, the storyline of this, of pitcher-batter relationships, opponent relationships, pitcher to other team's manager calling you out, umpire to player. It can go on and on. All right, so the first thing I've noticed about all this is that the body language of the pitcher and the two umpires that come up to the player, just like this, is that nobody really wants to be there. Couple smiles, couple jokes, couple, hey, there's your glove, there's your hat. All right, you're on your way. You ever get a physical and you're just so unimpressed by the doctor? Like, did he or she really just give me a complete once-over? Or was that just, oh, I'm here to sign the paper and you're out of here? You know, it seems like, I'm not saying they're not doing their jobs or doing it diligence, but it seems like you can read that the body language of the player doesn't want to ever be there and the umpires don't want to be there, and they're just going to check the box and move on. And I kind of understand that, because this is coming from Major League Baseball. This is not something all the players want. This is not something that the umpires want to be a part of either. They're all of a sudden, they're a judge and a jury. Like, if you get busted here, you're out of the game. You are serving a 10-game suspension, so now your team can't have you if you're a starter for another 1 or 2 starts, I guess, depending on how it works out. Like, this is a serious offense. I'm also curious to see, is somebody now really going to get busted? Knowing and seeing how hard they're going on this, is somebody still going to try and sneak something out there? Maybe. So, doing it after innings, that's my second point. I was worried about pace of the game. Would this slow things down even more? Quite honestly, it works out. It actually works out during the games, I think. It doesn't bother anybody. The pitcher's coming off the mound, going into the dugout. I also think, what happens if you're a pitcher who just gave up 6 runs? Do you really want to be seeing the umpire and getting checked out for foreign substances under the belt and under the hat? Probably not. But also after innings, after the inning, after you've already been pitching, wouldn't that also already be after the violation? Yeah, that part doesn't make complete sense. So I digress. It seems like there would be a better, more effective time to do this, but there's really not, unless you're going to have to interrupt the game. All right, so they're checking the hat and the glove, and that's it. Are those the only 2 places to hide stuff? Of course not. They're probably the main places, you know. And I'm sorry, what did I say? The hat and the glove? No, they're checking the hat and the belt. I got it wrong. Excuse me. I'm thinking about the glove. That's kind of a, you know, palm of the glove hand. You know, that might be a spot to hide something. So if I'm stupid if I'm going to hide anything under the belt or in my hat. That's what all the checks are. At least the ones I've seen. Maybe the glove is in there too, but long story short, how about backside of the belt? How about in the sock? All I'm saying is, if you're really going to push this, you're only going to check for those 3 spots. You're going to let everybody know it's those 2 or 3 spots, and then that's it? Like there's no other places? Point number 5 here. So yeah, now you're turning the umpires into TSA agents. Credit to Dontrell Willis, who came up with that, or at least that was the first person I ever heard using it, and I want to give him that credit. He mentioned it. Yeah, like umpires are now like forensics agents. You know, what's on that? Like, what is that? Is that sticky? But is it hair gel? Is it sunscreen? Is it spider tack? Like what? Umpires aren't supposed to be doing this. They're around the game. Sure, they get it. They understand it. But this is not their thing. You're turning umpires into TSA agents and forensics experts. It's kind of bizarre. All right, how about all the conflict? Like I said, think about, and you already saw it with Max Scherzer tonight. Think about, this pitcher getting yelled at by the other team's manager, saying, I think you got to check him out. Well, now I'm upset. You stopped me in the middle of my game. There's going to be tons of back and forth with this. That's obviously a situation that's got to be monitored here. All right, how about this? We know too much information. We're going to be watching everybody's spin rate because that's what the sticky stuff is really helping you get that break on a curveball. Maybe give you a little bit of touch on a fastball too, but really snap off a breaking pitch. And now that we can measure everybody's spin rate down to the RPM, it's an exact measure. We're going to be seeing, well, how much were pitchers cheating? Do you really know that? I suppose to a certain extent you do, but this is how deep we've got into the game. 200 RPM plus or minus in a 2800 RPM breaking pitch. And now you're going to point the finger at guys, well, look at his spin rate dropped. He was doing it. A bunch of guys are and were. All right, let's change the narrative here. Sticky versus cork in a bat. How about that conversation for a second? I do realize I'm defending the pitchers here mostly, but I also want to say that there's a huge side of this that needs to be discussed that, it is affecting the game, the fact that pitchers have a little bit more of an advantage here. And what if the batters were the ones corking their bats all over again? But this is getting me thinking here. Pretty soon, are we going to be monitoring? Are we going to be sawing bats in half mid at bat? Like, is there cork in this? Or we, tap, tap, tap? What? How far is this going to go? The accusatory, dialogue back and forth. Where is this going to end eventually? How about all the pitchers who are going to suffer injury here and have been in the last week or two, and maybe will in the next couple weeks because they're used to throwing a certain way. They've been doing it for years, and now when they throw the breaking ball, it's a little bit different. And because of that slightly different motion at that very, very high rate of velocity, they're going to be injured. Which brings me to another point. Why are we doing this mid-season? Who thought that was a good idea? I realize there was some pressure. It was a mounting discussion. But at what point do you just say, well, the train's already moving. We can't necessarily start this season all over again. We'll figure it out. We'll get it right. We'll get it absolutely right next year. But we can't really jump in front of this train right now. They decided to do it. Let me see what else here. There's just, you see what I'm saying? There's so much to this. Dontrell Willis also said the other day, do you really want to be opening this door? Which brings me to the why are we doing this at all question. Yes, pitchers may be breaking the rule that they've always been breaking, and now you're coming down hard and enforcing it. Well, then are you going to enforce every single rule that way to the letter of the rule book? And then is this going to continue forever? Are you going to be having this scene for years and decades? Really? Is this going to be a thing? Is this going to be a standard photo across baseball? Because right now I'm still like, it just makes me paranoid to even look at that. I don't know. I think I understand the reason. And I understand the competitive advantage. I just think there had to be better ways to probably start this conversation and get it right and get everybody on the same page. You're going to be seeing, I think, a lot coming from this that you've only seen 36 hours of it. Give it another 36 days. I really do feel like this is a big deal. It may seem small when you explain it to somebody, but it's a big deal if you watch the games and, something to definitely keep your eye on. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Appreciate you watching the video. Talk to you next time.